guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Iman.
I'm Bri.
And if you're new to this channel, welcome.
We're happy to have you here.
Yes guys, we are sipping on
Prosecco.
Cheers. Alright, so today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing a sit down and chit chat. And we're basically going to be talking about some real stuff.
Yeah, we want this to be like a new segment on our channel where we discuss different topics, real life things, where, we get more informed, we open up a little bit more. And yeah, so today we're discussing all things toxic relationships.
Yes.
So we'll share some personal experiences. We'll share some signs of toxic relationships, some advice. We'll also list some resources at the end for anyone who might be in need of seeking help. So yeah.
So make sure you watch till the end.
Yes, it's gonna be good. You can also leave us some topics down below of what you want us to discuss. And yeah, we hope to also have like special guests.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so let's get started.
Okay.
So we're gonna list some signs and some behaviors of toxic relationships here on the screen, just because we don't want to make anything, or we don't want to make this video too long.
Yeah.
But some signs, just to speak about it, are codependency, types of abuse, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, financial.
Unhealthy communication, dishonesty, and manipulation.
Yeah. So those are just some signs. We'll have more on the screen for you guys. You guys can do your own research, or just based off the stuff that we say today, you can relate it to your own personal experiences. But yeah, what comes to mind, sister, when you think of toxic relationships?
The first thing that comes in my mind is being controlled. Not being able to just kind of like be you, in a sense. What do you think of when you hear the word toxic?
I feel like that's very traumatizing. I think it's a big no. Like, if you're in one, it's important for you to recognize the signs, for you to leave as soon as possible, because that's not love.
I agree.
It's not healthy, and you deserve so much more.
I agree.
So
I think that a lot of people tend to stay in these relationships when, or maybe they just don't realize that they're in one.
Yeah, I definitely think it's both sometimes. I also think like you might notice these red flags and you might question like, this is not okay, or like, what should I do? But people stay and like with the hope in mind that things can get better, or you can change the person.
Right.
And it's very important to know that you cannot change anybody but yourself. So if you've practiced healthy communication to express yourself and your needs, your wants, and you're not being given that, you have to check yourself and be like, this is not the person for me, this is not the relationship for me, and I need to move on. So we're just gonna share some personal experiences of maybe our past relationships that were toxic.
Yeah, so I realized that now, not now, but like as I got older, that I was actually in a toxic relationship. I do think that when you're young, you don't really realize that you're in one. You kind of just like ignore it.
And even when you're older, like a lot of the times you realize once the relationship has ended, like, damn, I put up with a lot, or I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, or if you moved on.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shoot, like, the fuck was I doing?
Yeah, like,
what the
you question yourself.
What were you? So, in my past, like, there's been like situations that that I felt like I wasn't really, like I couldn't be myself. I couldn't wear what I wanted to wear. Like if I wanted to wear makeup, I couldn't wear makeup.
Why do you think that is?
Insecurity on the other person. I felt like that person was very, very insecure.
Yeah. And so you probably did that in order to like avoid the consequences.
Right.
And avoid the argument.
Because when you're in a relationship, you just think about it like, okay, let me not. Because you just never know. You don't want to end your relationship. So you just kind of you go with the flow. And
that's important, like to consider the other person's feelings.
Right.
But not when it's in a toxic way. Like, being controlled on what you can wear.
Right.
Like you can wear absolutely nothing and still be such a faithful partner.
Yeah.
Your clothing doesn't mean anything. It's just clothing.
Right.
So, yeah, that was very toxic. Yeah, for sure. I feel like a lot of girls, a lot of women go through that with my boyfriend would never let me wear that. Or I couldn't go out of the house wearing that.
Yes. So. I also had I was always a homebody. I really just wanted to always be in the house. So while I was in the house, that person was out all the time.
Did that bother you or not?
It did, and it didn't, but it did because I knew that person was up to no good.
Oh, okay.
Like I knew that by the end of the night, I was gonna end up finding something else. So I was already kind of just expecting that. And I continued to stay, and I stood in the relationship. And you just kind of feel like, I kind of noticed that when you stay, you kind of start to feel like it's normal.
Yeah. Like that's like the least of your worries.
Right.
You know.
So you just kind of like, you're just like, okay, like this is another night.
Mm-hmm.
This person is acting up.
Yeah.
That person will get over it. And we'll be okay. We'll be fine.
Yeah. And you kind of like make excuses for this person.
Right.
Like, he just always does that.
Right.
You know, you kind of have like to force yourself to move on because the conversation with this person, it's like never ends well. But, you know, I do feel like in relationships, you have to have your freedom. But you have to be respectful at the end of the day. Like, if you're going out, you know, don't be cheating. Don't be disrespecting me. You know, that's like, I feel like that's the bare minimum you should be giving your partner.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I feel like in my relationship, my past relationship, I was the opposite. Where I was the one going out and he was the one staying home. I was always respectful, but it was such a bother for him. Because I was in his eyes changing, but I was just growing up. You know, I'm no longer a high school student at this point where, you know, like I was in college partying, and that was a big, huge issue for him. And I'm like, this is normal things. Like, I'm just living my best college life while still being faithful.
Right.
You know, being respectful. It was just out with my girls. And I didn't see the issue. I feel like this is normal stuff that we should be doing. But because he was home, he also wanted me to be home. And a big no-no because, hello, you only live once. You know, but it's okay. I feel like that wasn't, maybe I could have been better in the way that
I was just gonna say that.
I could have
I was literally just gonna
respected his wishes sometimes and not have gone as much.
It's not even like just respecting the wishes. It's just like, you know, there's always a time. Like I'm that type of person though. I'm always for like, okay,
there's a time and a place.
Right.
Okay.
I was
see, not my issues. I want to be out every weekend.
Yes, I was gonna say that there's a time and a place for everything.
Mhm. Yeah, no,
I'm
but
not saying that like it's a bad thing, but like, you know, to do you know, do what you want to do.
I did feel like in that moment that he was trying to control me, because he it's always like the fear of the unknown that kind of like starts playing with your mind.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, she's out and she has to be dancing on guys, and she used to be getting guys' numbers, when my reality was the complete opposite. If I was dancing, it was either by myself or with my girls. You know, if I was drinking, it's because I was buying my own drinks. You know, there was no cheating. There was no... I wasn't being unfaithful at all. And I just feel like he didn't understand that part. And he kind of was like, you're going to be home because I know what you're doing and I know where you at. And I felt like I had no freedom. You know? But I definitely still see your point of view where it's like, if you out cheating, okay, then I'm going to lock you up in the house.
That's another thing. So, like, if you have given that person a reason to feel that way, you know, like, then that's a different story.
You know, you have every reason to be upset at that point.
Right.
But, yeah, no. So, you know, I feel like in my past relationships, I've definitely seen a lot of emotional and mental abuse.
Okay.
Where he, like, I guess it was codependency at the same time. And so, like, a way to trick me into, or like to manipulate me into staying, he would pull out like the mental health card, and he would, you know, what's the word? Like not trigger me.
Manipulate?
Or like guilt trip me into staying with him because he was gonna kill himself, according to him, or you know, he couldn't live without me. I remember a time that we had like broken up, and I was like, I'm done, like I don't want to be with you anymore. And you know, he still ended up calling me like while I was taking a nap, and I answered, and I just kept sleeping on the phone. Like we fell asleep on FaceTime. But by the time that I woke up from this nap, he had placed an empty pill bottle on the front of the screen, or in front of the screen. So when I woke up, I'm like panicking. I'm like, oh my God, did he take all these pills? Is he trying to overdose and kill himself because I tried to break up with him? You know, and like, in my mind, I was super young. I was like, yeah,
shitting on myself.
I didn't want like that guilt to eat me alive. Like I'm the reason he is no longer here.
Yeah, there's people, you know, who actually
are like that. Yeah.
It's sad to say, but there's a lot of people who, and I don't even consider that love. Like literally, that's an obsession.
It's very unhealthy.
It's an obsession. Like I feel like when it gets to that extent,
it's too much.
Scary because it's like, okay, I kind of just want to walk away from this, but then it's like, how?
Yeah. And I felt like I went back a lot of times because he would constantly like throw that at me, and I was scared of him. I was scared if that could have really happened.
What was gonna happen next? Yeah.
I think that's a really good point though. Like, love is such an intense feeling, but you have to separate that from obsession. Those two are not the same thing. And if it gets to that point, it's unhealthy. It's very unhealthy. I can love you to death, but obsession is just like a completely different spectrum.
Right.
So
I can't even use that word.
Yeah, no, I'm obsessed with you.
I can use it on my kids. You know, like I'm obsessed with my kids, but like an obsessed, like your significant other is just like, I don't even like using that word.
No, that's detrimental.
Right. What do you think of when you hear unhealthy communication?
Oh man, I have like stories for days about that. You know, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel that unhealthy communication is something that can stem from like early childhood. Yes. You know, I grew up with a family who couldn't communicate without yelling at one another, who they couldn't sit down and discuss their emotions without someone blowing up. Even my parents, you know, weren't together as I grew up, and you know, that's her first representation of love, and I don't think that it was a good one. Thankfully, my parents now, they get along really well. But it was always an argument, and it was always in front of me and my sisters. And you know, so eventually you grow up seeing this and you think it's normal, you know. So I grew, like my previous relationship, like our communication was super bad. First of all, like I feel like he was really good with words. He knew how to manipulate the situation, make me feel like I was crazy. But I also understand that I, didn't have the healthiest communication skills to like say, this is how I feel. You're making me upset because of this. Like I would shut down sometimes, or I would go off. I wasn't the most respectful at times, but I'm still thankful for that because I grew, I learned, and being self-aware, I've changed those habits, especially now, like in all of my relationships, whether it's with Steven romantically or with friends and family who have upset me or whatever it may be. I feel like I'm much better now. What about you, sis?
I definitely agree with you. I feel like it starts from the very beginning. It starts from like childhood. In my case, I can say that my parents never really, they've tried to keep it very like between them. But I feel like, how much more can a person take? I feel like my mom, it was just too much.
Yeah.
Like the cheating and just the consistency of like
disrespect.
It was just too much, and to the point that we started noticing. And you don't, as I know, like I'm a parent, so I know that as a parent you wouldn't want your kids to see any of it. But we ended up seeing, I think, a little too much.
Yeah.
But I think that communication is very important.
Healthy communication.
Healthy communication. Also, like with relationships, I do think that it's super important. Like I feel like as long as you're constantly like being vocal with your partner and letting it out, whatever you feel, is just important.
Yeah, as long as it's in a healthy way.
People struggle with that, like
that is very true.
Just to satisfy
the other person. Yeah, because I think you are right. Like there's people that will stay shut because they're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'll get over it. But that's also unhealthy communication.
And sometimes you just don't want to argue, so you just kind of avoid. Avoid it.
But I always stress that, and it's like, just because something's bothering you, and like you don't have to eat it. You don't have to suck it in or keep it in, because you're afraid of an argument. Like communication, when it's healthy, it's not an argument. It's a conversation.
Right.
It's a discussion where you guys.
But depending on how the other person.
It depends on the other person for sure. If in the case like where you might feel like I can't speak up, I don't want to bring it up because I'm scared they're gonna react really badly or how it's gonna affect their relationship. That is a sign of a toxic relationship. If you can't even express yourself or open up, that's a big red flag.
That's a big red flag.
Yeah.
You can't ignore that.
You should be able to express yourself without worries.
And it's okay, like, because I'm that type of person. I'm very like, I like to avoid like I don't like confronting.
Yeah.
And you kind of just
hard.
You're like, okay, let me just not. Let me not say anything, because even though, like I said, communication is important, but sometimes like me, I kind of struggle.
Do you think that stems from your childhood?
Of course. Yes, of course. I believe that if you're feeling any type of way as an adult, I feel like your childhood plays a huge part.
Your childhood, your past experiences, even if it's not with family.
Yes.
Even if it's like
I agree with that.
A friendship that you had that you felt like you couldn't speak up. Because toxic relationships are not just between couples. It's between, your mom and father.
It could be anything.
Between you and your sister, even. But, yeah. Another sign is dishonesty and unfaithfulness. I think they go hand in hand. In my previous relationship, there was a lot of lying, a lot of covering up and not including certain details and stuff. But essentially, you know, the reason for me leaving that relationship was not the amount of times that my parents and my sisters and my friends told me to leave, that I deserve better. You know, I feel like in relationships, you don't leave until you are ready, because nobody can make that decision for you.
Yep.
There was a lot of times that, you know, my loved ones told me, like, you deserve so much better. Like, why don't you leave? Open your eyes. And I'd be like, you're right. I'm gonna do it.
At least you had it. I never had that.
You didn't?
I never had that.
Were you open with
it
other
was
people?
More like, I kind of was. I was very private. Because it's like, I feel like I see it like when you know, when you go around and you ask for opinions, you kind of just get more confused.
Yeah.
So I always thought about that. Like, I'm like, I don't want to confuse myself. I'm going to listen to myself, you know? And eventually you kind of just realize on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's good or not.
You know, I feel like when people tell you, like, you deserve better and, you know, that's not right. You already know that, but you kind of like, push it. I hate that. Yeah. I do, like, too.
When you go for advice for someone, that's not what I want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Be a little bit more, not supportive, but just look at it differently. Like, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, I feel like, especially me as a friend, I'm just like, if he's not treating you well, like, leave. What are you doing? You know, and
what if that's not where you are?
Yeah, that's not what people need at that moment. People still want to fight for their relationship.
That's funny where you're not at that. Maybe what if you're not at that point that you want to?
Exactly.
What if you just want to work it out?
Exactly, and that's, I feel like, what happened with me, where I wasn't ready to give up on that relationship, and you know, I might have listened to the advice, and yeah, it is hard. I might have listened to the advice that was being given and broken up with this person for like a few days, like a week or two, and then jumped right back in because I mentally wasn't ready. And it wasn't until it was the cheating that happened and I had the hardcore proof that I was like, this is a deal breaker for me, and that's it. I'm moving on. Like, I cannot deal with this anymore.
So what do you think about dishonesty?
It's crazy, like, how people can just like sit there and lie to your face and then claim that they love you and that they respect you.
But when you have the proof, and they're lying,
I'd be wanting to smack them. Like,
that's the words.
Yeah,
that's the words. When you have the proof and
they still lie. Yeah, the story of like how I caught my ex cheating. I don't think the internet is ready for that.
No, I can't say that. Maybe in the next video.
Maybe, yeah, down the line, but. It was so crazy, and like that person still tried to downplay it, and you know, they tell you like, it's not what it seems, it's not what you think, and it's like, it's a picture of you kissing her, another woman that is not me. Like, where am I going wrong? What do you mean it's not clicking? It's not the same thing. Like, I must be dumb. I must have stupid written across my forehead. Right. But yeah, that really was. Because my deal breaker in any relationship is cheating. If you're unfaithful, you step outside of this relationship, she can have you.
Siggy, I did the one time. Okay, I let it pass, I let it slide. You know, I'm very like, I'm that type of person that I give chances.
Yeah.
You know, until I can't no more. And then it's just like, okay,
I gotta go.
You won't hear from me again.
What was that?
That's how you know the liquor's hitting. You won't hear from me. No, but for real, like, I'm the type of person that I give chances. So it's like, okay, I'll give you one and let it slide. Two, okay, you're pushing it.
Like we're seeing a pattern here.
Yeah, right. And then the third, back then, I used to be like, all right, the third I'm out.
Yeah.
Now, I give you 2 chances. And I'm out.
But I respect that, honestly, because for a lot of people, the cheating might not be a deal breaker.
Listen, we're not perfect.
Yeah.
I believe that I need me.
Yeah.
We're not perfect. I believe in second chances. I do. As an adult, I minimized it because I was like, all right, I'll give you 3 to 4 chances. Being young, but I was like, no, we're going to cut it. We're going to 2 chances. You get 2 chances.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But
it is, yeah. I mean, it's important to like realize that I'm like, even though I say that that's a deal breaker for me and you say it's not, I can't, like, I'm not living in your relationship. That's not my reality.
Right.
So I can't sit here and tell you like, he cheated, that's a deal breaker, you should be out of there. When if that's not what you want to do, if that's not something that causes you to completely leave that person, that's completely fine. That's your relationship.
Right.
So, yeah, but if, you know, I don't want you to go and be telling like 2 chances. People be like, I got 1 chance. And I'm gonna be like, you know, she gonna cut me some slack. So what about you, sister?
So, dishonesty, I think is a big one. I think that's actually that's probably my number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, maybe cheating is my second, but dishonesty, I hate a liar. Just be honest.
You're triggering me.
I'm already getting upset. Yeah. Like, even saying it, like, just be honest. I'd rather you say it's done than continuing a relationship that's not gonna go anywhere and just lying.
Yeah.
During the whole relationship. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I feel like when you cheat, and this is like a general thing, when you cheat and you get caught, don't lie about it.
They still won't lie about it.
Just say the truth. Just say it.
It's so hard for them.
Just say it. And this is a general thing. This goes for women and males.
Any gender.
Any gender, doesn't matter. Just be honest. You know? Don't waste my time.
Yeah. I mean, like,
don't waste my time.
Honesty is huge because that's where trust comes in.
Right.
And without trust, you don't have a relationship. You know, my ex used to like block me on social media from like seeing his story, and I used to view it from someone else. They used to send it to me. Now my ex, so you blocked me, and it still will be like, no, I don't know why it's not showing up on your side. No, what are you hiding? You're lying, and it was constant lies, and that's what I'm saying.
With
like,
me too.
I felt crazy.
With me, it was like a constant thing. Like, I will find out just like small things. I will bring it up. Oh no, that person made the other person feel like the person was lying. So it was always that. It was always like that. Like, I will find something out, you know, because when you're young and especially like you're in the same kind of like neighborhood, things get around.
Yeah.
Like, things get around. Like, you end up finding something out. So it was always like that. Like, I never went on my way.
To find something.
It used to come up.
Fell right here.
It used to just come up.
You know? God wanted me to know.
Right.
You know, but what happens in the dark always comes to light.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. But I do think that, and I've learned that, if that person isn't being honest with you, you need to walk out.
Right.
You need to walk out.
That's like the bare minimum you can offer someone. Because it's like,
you see, when you always say like, once a cheater, always a cheater.
cheater.
Yeah, once a liar, always a damn fucking
always
liar. Like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
It's crazy. And then there's always an excuse with this lie to make themselves feel better. And it's like, no, like, you did what you did, own up to it.
That's it.
You were caught. Admit to it.
And I'm a very honest person. Like, if I'm not feeling this, I'm gonna let you know that I'm not feeling this.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you what's on my mind. In a respectful way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to end this video off by giving some advice to everybody. If you're in a toxic relationship or you were in one, you know, things do get better.
Yeah.
You know, my personal experience, the moment that I left my toxic relationship, my life got so much better. I'm a firm believer that God removes people from your life to make space for bigger and better things.
Oh yeah.
The moment I left, my life changed so much. Yeah, I was feeling like the heartache for like, a few, but I started traveling. I found myself. I started doing things I liked to do. I grew closer with my family, my friends. I became a less angry person that I didn't realize I was. I found Steven, and that relationship is just everything I even dreamed of as a little girl that I know I wouldn't have been able to experience if I was still in that relationship. So yeah.
I agree. I feel like I told you before, like I believe in second chances. I believe in always giving that person a chance. But I do think that once you start to you start to have those thoughts like, okay, should I stay? Am I doing the right thing? Like by staying? I feel like that's when you should kind of like start thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
And putting yourself like first and actually thinking like, okay,
find an exit plan.
Maybe this is not for me. Maybe these are actually signs that I'm ignoring, and actually walk out.
Yeah. And it's super hard. I do recommend that, you're open with the people closest to you. Yeah. You seek therapy if you need it.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with therapy, guys.
No, nothing's wrong with therapy. Therapy is not only for crazy people.
No.
And yeah, you're just true to yourself.
Yeah.
So, also like if you have friends that are in toxic relationships that you're trying to help them.
Help them the right way though.
Yeah. Don't be that
so
person that you're like, you need to leave. Like, try to put yourself in their shoes and just continue to be supportive.
Right. That's when the person actually closes up.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want that person to close up and then you have no idea what's going on. You can work with them to slowly but surely make them realize that they deserve better, that, the relationship has expired. But, and then I also want to note that an important thing that in my relationship now was that moving from a toxic relationship to a healthy one is such a hard transition. Oh my God. So, just be self-aware, work on these techniques on like healthy communication and not be codependent, and just a healthier person overall for your next relationship.
But start that relationship knowing that it's a whole new fresh start.
Yeah.
Don't bring those toxic traits into the new one.
Yeah. It was when I first started with Steven, like I still had all these things.
You start to have trust issues. And then you're like, okay, I have to
like,
have my guards up because
this person did something, and now like I'm gonna throw that on you and it's gonna be your responsibility. No, like you need to work through these things before you jump into the next relationship.
Right.
With Steven, like it's funny because I laugh about it now, but I was like so programmed to like think that people were a certain type of way, my relationship was a certain type of way, that when I got with Steven, I'm like, we didn't argue, like we had healthy communication from the very beginning, and I used to be
so perfect.
Yeah, it was too good to be true. But there was times that I caught myself like, damn, he's boring. Like, where's the arguments? And I had to check myself, and I'm like, that's not something you want,
because when you're in a relationship, especially in a toxic relationship, you're molded. You're molded a certain way. So you're just so used to it. You're used to the arguments. You're used to the toxicity.
I think I'm saying it
right. The toxic traits.
Yeah.
So it's tricky, but just keep in mind that once you're in a new relationship,
it's a second chance. It's another chance at a healthy love.
Right.
yeah, so if you guys need any advice, you can comment down below. You can slide into our DMs for advice. We're always open to speaking with you guys. And yeah, so in the next slide we'll have some resources for you guys if you're in need. Comment down below some ideas. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. We hope to bring in more interesting topics for you guys.
Hit that bell.
Yeah, make sure your post notifications are on.
Yes.
So we're gonna be posting hopefully every single Monday.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys.
That's the goal, guys. But please, no pressure.
Yes, when it's 2 people. Yeah, when it's 2 people, it's a lot trickier to have our schedules aligned, but we do our best. And yeah, stay tuned for our next content and our special guests. And see you guys next time.
Bye.